Hey friends, welcome back to Dinner Made Easy with Dina. I'm Dina. Today I decided it is one of those cold days and we need something cozy in the crock pot for dinner. So I'm going to put together a white chicken chili in the crock pot. And this is a new recipe for me, but it looks absolutely delicious. So stick with me. We're going to pull that together and you're going to see the end results just like I will. Okay, so I have my crock pot. And I am using a crock pot liner today. In there. So we are going to start out with 5 cups of chicken broth. Okay. So normally if you have raw chicken that you're going to use in this recipe, you're going to start out with putting that chicken in there. But I'm using chicken that has already been cooked. So no need to put that in first. We're actually going to save that and put that in the last hour. And the reason we're going to do that is because we don't want it to come out rubbery. You know, overdone chicken in a soup just doesn't taste very good in my opinion. So we're going to try it this way and see how well we do. Okay, let's see, is that enough? I think we're going to go with about 5 cups of chicken broth. Well, actually it's 4 cups of chicken broth because I set a cup aside. Okay, so we've got our chicken broth. And then what we're going to do, I have 2 cans of the white beans. Whoops, 2 cans of white beans, and it's like navy beans. You can use any kind of a white bean you want to, but I'm using the canned beans. And I'm going to drain those. You don't have to, but I'm going to. There's 1 can. And there's 2 cans right there. Now, you can, if you choose to, mash some of these beans up so that it helps kind of thicken the juices. And I think I'm going to do that with just a little bit. Okay, so we're not going to do very many. We're just going to do a few because I really kind of like the idea of having mostly beans in there. Okay, I think that's good. A half a cup of evaporated milk. Now the evaporated milk just makes it creamy. Stir that in. There we go. It makes it creamy and it gives it a really silky flavor. And we want to make sure we get a really good flavor out of this. Okay. Next, I'm putting a can of Rotel. And I'm just using the mild, but you can go as spicy as you want to. We're just more about the mild flavor. And then I have 1 can of fire roasted corn, and I've drained most of the juice, but not all of it. And I'm going to put that in. I have 1 can, and it's a 4-ounce can of diced chilies. And once again, I'm going in with a mild diced chili. You can go as spicy as you want to with this recipe, but not everybody in this household enjoys all the spice. Let me give that a little bit of a stir. Okay. Then I've got a half a large onion that I've already diced and I'm putting in. And then after that diced onion, I've got some cilantro, and it's fresh cilantro. And I have about 3 tablespoons because we like cilantro. And I'm going to stir that in. Now, if you don't like cilantro, you can leave it out. That's perfectly fine. We just love it, so we're going to leave it in. Okay. We have some garlic, and we're going to use, oh, there it is. We're going to use a tablespoon of minced garlic. Okay. Put the lid back on. We have some cumin. And we're going to use a teaspoon of cumin or thereabouts. I'll just eyeball it. Measure with love, right? And then I've got some chili powder, and I'm going to put about the same amount of chili powder. I've got a little ingredient here most people don't use very much, but it is really good at lightening your colors up. It doesn't add a whole lot of flavor. It's ground turmeric, but it's really good for inflammation. It's a great thing to lift the colors in your dish, so that's why we're going with it, because I just want to make it look pretty. I've got some Worcestershire sauce. Yes, it's pronounced Worcestershire. I'm going to use just a couple of dashes of that. And then I have some chili garlic sauce. And you can find this in your Asian food section. And it's crushed chilies in a garlic sauce. And you can use this and you can make it as spicy as you want or not very spicy at all. So we went in with a half a teaspoon, which is enough for us. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of sea salt because my broth I used actually is reduced sodium. Okay, which is perfect because I like to control how much salt is in the foods we make. Okay, so that is all we need to do for now. I'm going to put the lid on it and I'm going to let it cook on low, okay, for about 4 hours. Since our chicken is already cooked, we don't need to worry that it's not going to be completely cooked. So at 4 hours, we're going to go ahead and dice up our chicken and we're going to place it into the pot along with cream cheese. And then we'll take a look and see how it's doing. We'll give it a taste test and make sure that we have our seasonings just the way we need them. Hey guys, I think you're really going to enjoy this recipe that we're working on today. If you're enjoying the video, please give me a thumbs up. Leave me some comments. Let me know how you make your chicken chili. This is the first time I've ever made it. So we're going to see together how it turns out. It looks fantastic and it's already starting to smell great. So if you haven't yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything and it helps my channel out a ton. I really would appreciate it. Right next to it, there's a little bell. If you click on that bell, it notifies you whenever I post a new video. So once again, hit that like button. Let me know what you think. Okay, so it's been about 6 hours. I'm going to go ahead with my immersion blender and just kind of do a little bit. I don't want to do it all. Okay, and let's see what that looks like. Oh yeah, that's looking good. We're going to add some cream cheese to that, about 4 ounces, and I'm also going to add a little bit of lime juice. But let's taste it for seasoning first, in case we need to add some seasoning. I think we need a little more salt, so let's add a little salt. Okay, and it's going to be about 4 ounces worth. And then we'll let it sit for about another 20 minutes. And we'll get this cream cheese all melted in there. And in the meantime, what we're going to do is we're going to make some cornbread to go with this. Then a really good cornbread. Okay, so now we're going to get ready to make our cornbread. And I have all the ingredients set out here, so let's get going on that. Here's our bowl, and we are going to need 1 1/3 cups of buttermilk. But I don't have buttermilk, so I'm going to use a little bit of vinegar in my milk. And I'm just going to put it in the cup, 1 cup. Okay, so it's about a tablespoon per cup. And so this will act like buttermilk because it'll go in there and it's going to kind of curdle the milk a little bit. That's how we get buttermilk if you don't have it in your refrigerator. And most people, at least on the West Coast, most of us don't have buttermilk just sitting in our refrigerators. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is I'm following the directions. They're on the back of this Bob's Red Mill cornmeal. It's really good quality cornmeal. So we're going to go ahead and make the recipe on the back of this. So we have 1 cup of cornmeal. We're going to go ahead and get that into the bowl. If I can get the bag open. Okay, so 1 cup into our bowl. Okay, there's our 1 cup. And the next thing we need is we're going to need a cup of our all-purpose flour. Now the flour we have is a wheat flour, but you can use white flour, wheat flour. It's just, we just picked up the wrong bag by accident because at our local grocery store, the white flour and the wheat flour are packaged exactly the same, and you have to really hunt to make sure you're getting the proper flour. But actually the wheat flour is probably better for us, so okay, we'll take it. I've used it in other recipes and I really can't tell the difference. Okay, and there's our cup of flour. I'm going to stir that together, and then our milk should be ready here in just a moment. It probably is by now. We're going to go ahead and get that in here next. So here's 1 cup. And then we just need to add another 1/3 of a cup of milk. There we go. And we're done with that. Now, this recipe does call for sugar. We're not big sugar eaters on our cornbread, so I think we're going to skip that, and we're just going to go right to the baking powder and the baking soda. So I need 2 teaspoons baking powder. And we're going to need 1/2 a teaspoon of baking soda. Okay, there's that. Okay, I did a little bit of rethinking, and I decided I will go in with a tablespoon of sugar because I don't want to mess up the recipe, and I think we may need a little sugar to make sure everything is doing what it's supposed to do in here. So there we go. There's a little bit of sugar. Okay, now we're going to need 1/2 a teaspoon of salt. So, you know, measuring with love here. And 2 eggs. So I have 2 eggs. I just happen to have 2 eggs sitting right here on the counter. Here's our 2 eggs. And then 1/4 of a cup of butter, melted. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do though is kind of get those eggs stirred in a little bit so I don't scramble my eggs with that nice warm butter. Okay. There we go. Now we're going to go ahead and pour that butter in. Ooh, secret ingredient. Let's get that stirred in really well. So the directions say after everything has been combined to let it sit for 10 minutes before we cook it. And we are going to cook it in our cast iron skillet and try that out for a change. been forever since I've done that, and it's always so good. It gets really crispy on the outside and nice and tender on the inside. So I think that's the way to do it. Now we're going to let this sit here for 10 minutes and rest, and then we'll be back and we'll put it into the cast iron skillet and into the oven it'll go. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes since we put the cream cheese in, so I think we're going to just stir it in there with our wire whip. Try and make sure we're nice and creamy. If it's too runny, go ahead, like I said, with that 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and 3 tablespoons of water. Mix that up, make a little slurry, and then just slowly drizzle it in and stir it in. So I think I'm going to try that, just so you can see what I'm talking about here. Okay, so I'm mixing it up in its little bowl here, you can see. You just want to make sure you mix it until there isn't any more cornstarch in there, because you want to make sure that's blended real good before it hits the nice hot liquids here. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think I added a little more water to it than I was saying, but you know, I measured with love and that happens. Okay, so we're just going to get stirring here and slowly drizzle that in. I've got a really full pot of soup here. I didn't realize I was going to get so much out of this. There we go. There, now we're getting a nice thicker consistency. You see how nice? Very good. Okay, so I put butter all around the edges and inside the cast iron. It's been 10 minutes. We're going to go ahead and get our cornbread into the oven. That should probably take about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Okay, let's check our cornbread and see how we're doing, because it's about time. Oh yeah. I think I'll get a second pad, because that is extremely hot. There it is. All right, we can turn the oven off, and we need to let that sit for just a few minutes. Okay, look at this. This came out so creamy and really smells awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get this bowl filled up, and then we're going to put a few little ingredients on top. So I've added some fresh lime, some avocado, some cilantro, and a little bit of fresh tomatoes, and I'm going in with a squeeze of sour cream just to add a little bit more good flavors to that. And we're going to taste that here in just a moment. This has been a really easy recipe to pull together, so if you guys haven't tried it, give it a try. It's really, really good. Okay, so now it's time to taste our chicken chili and see how it turned out. It looks amazing. It smells so good. Look at that, how beautiful that is. I don't drop my cornbread in the middle of it all. That looks absolutely amazing. Oh, it's so hot. Oh, this is really good, you guys. Listen, I gotta have a hot pad for this. If you haven't tried this, this is a great recipe. And you know what? It's one of those things, you put it on, you don't have to worry about it till the end. When you add your final ingredients, it's really, really tasty. The cornbread, it looks so good. That's really good cornbread. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so. Really appreciate all your comments, and I appreciate you spending your time with me today. You have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.